Well, hello and welcome. Today I'm going to be doing a landscape painting. This is a commission from one of you, so thank you very much for that. The image that I'm going to be working from is a view of the spring mountains from the Mojave Desert. And yeah, it's gorgeous. It's got lots of beautiful, big mountains, and the clouds and sky are beautiful. Then some scrubby plants in the foreground, so I think it'll be a really fun one. Probably not like a super difficult painting either, so it should be lots of nice knife work and yeah, just a relaxing time all along. I do have a little bit of an allergy thing going on, so I might be drinking some water from time to time. Let's see. Okay. Yeah, so I think to start out with this, I am going to do a liquid layer for the sky. I love doing this for, especially to get like a lot of atmosphere built up in the image. So I'm going to start with a light blue, use some white, maybe some Sevres blue, maybe warm it up just a touch too, maybe a little burnt sienna. Let's start there. Let's see what this white paint's doing. I realized I have to put a lot of different containers of paint that are like in different stages of done. I don't know how this one is. I think I'm gonna. Yeah, there's a lot of good paint in here. I'm gonna just figure out how to get it out. The other thing I've been working on is, and maybe depending when you see this video, I might have already done it, but I'm going to try and do a live stream at some point. I think I've got it like maybe 90% figured out. And maybe the last 10% I'm really only going to figure out by trying it, so it might be a wild ride, but I think it would be kind of a good time too. Maybe this knife's gonna sit in the cleaner for a little bit, along with that one. This will work. This is a good knife to get in here with. I'll just use the tube. We'll deal with this later. So get a nice bit of titanium out. I'm gonna put some here, that'll be for the liquid layer, and then some over here for just general painting. And let's go ahead and grab this little round knife. This is my favorite knife for just mixing up piles of color, whatever they are. So I'll go ahead and gonna mix. Let's start with a good bit of Sevres blue. I think I'm gonna want this fairly strong. Try and match. I'm kind of matching the blue of the sky. It's not the strongest blue in the scene, but it's the blue I want to kind of get a nice layer over everything. And I'll probably focus kind of working from the background all the way up to the foreground. So what that'll do is, as I'm painting and this wet layer dries, it will mix into the colors that I put on top a little bit less. Let's see, I'm gonna go even a little more. Let's really go for it. And let's see, how's that? It's a pretty good match. Maybe just a touch of cobalt, actually. Yeah, I think that color's great. Okay, so I'm gonna take a little bit of my lavender solvent. Just take like three droppers of that, and then we'll do some linseed oil, maybe 3 droppers of that too. Make a good amount of paint to go on here. I always end up making this first pile kind of big, and then all my other colors I end up getting to like sort of mix them in a little bit. It's kind of like wet on wet times 2. Really pretty puffy clouds. It's going to be nice. Okay. Get this pretty well mixed. I don't want it to be streaky. So, I think that looks pretty good though. I'll go ahead and grab this big brush here. And actually a little bit of solvent right there. I like to put a little bit on the brush too. Just kind of helps the bristles not absorb everything right away. Going on really nice. I am looking wood board for this. I'm just kind of feeling like lately that gives me brighter colors. And I think sometimes when I switch back and forth, I get confused. So it's good to stick with one process or one medium for a while. Every once in a while I think about doing acrylic painting and I think that would really mess me up. It could be fun too. It'd be faster. The oils do take a little bit more planning. I usually don't do them all in one day. The acrylics, it's a little easier. You can kind of just power through since they dry kind of quick, but I think the effects you can get with oils are, I don't know, they're a little more exciting to me. I don't need this to go all the way down here, but I do think actually, yeah, I think it'll work out if I do. We'll go all the way to the bottom. Sometimes I'll do like a 2-color wet layer, and when I have really strong contrast in a picture, I feel like it helps it stand out quicker without layering as much paint. But this one I feel like there are some strong contrasts, but they're kind of only in a few areas, so I don't think that will be much of an issue. I'm just gonna go over this, get it all nice and even. A little sip of water. That's another thing that's good about using oil paints is I don't accidentally get tempted to stick my paintbrush in my water. With acrylics, it's always kind of a hazard. Alright, cool. So I think the next thing that I want to do is I'm going to mix up some cloud colors. Yeah, I'll wash this brush out too, actually. Stick that there. Rip off a couple of these knives. As I've been thinking about getting ready to live stream, I have to think about all the little things that I normally cut out, like coughing. Yeah, maybe that's not till my allergies go away. Just wiping out some extra paint here. Just makes it a little bit better. And my little brush cleaner has a spring in the bottom, so it kind of like flexes the bristles and lets the paint come out of it a little bit easier. It's kind of nice. It's tidy enough for now. That to the side. Another thing is those paper towel noises. I gotta just come up with a different way to do that, but I have like a box of rags and it makes a terrible noise when I pull a rag out of it. Alright, so let's see. Make some cloud colors here. So I think for a cloud color, I want to go a little grayer than this blue that I have here. I'm gonna do kind of my darker color of the clouds, and that will also lead me to my darker color of the mountains as well, I think. Yeah, I think that's gonna work out well. So I'm gonna take, it's a little warmer. I'm gonna go a little bit of ultramarine, a little bit of cobalt, and we'll take some of this white that I have. And I like when I'm doing clouds, if I'm doing kind of putting in the shadows, but I'm going into the wet paint here, and then I'll be able to sort of blend this all in. Here, here. Over there. And those are kind of my darker areas of these clouds. I may put some even darker areas into after this, but I like to kind of start there, and then take my brush and just kind of soften it a little bit. Kind of get the shape of these clouds. Little blobs out of there. No blobs allowed. At least not if I see them. Again. Just kind of sweeping those out. pretty nice. And I think I'll go ahead and put a light layer in there too. This won't bring me all the way to white because it's going to mix into what I already have. A little bit of a silvery blue. I'm just going to start working that into a couple of these brightest parts of these clouds. Good. Wipe this brush off. Just soften this a little bit too. Try to move my brush around a few different ways. Take some of these brush marks out, actually. I liked it for the blending, but actually I feel like it makes them look a little flat sometimes. A little more white back in here. I'm back at it. Okay. A little interruption, but nothing too bad. Okay. I'm gonna just get another brush here and blend this a little bit. Hopefully not too much. Come back and just keep. A lot of times when I do clouds, I'll do them in like more than one session, and then I can get the brightest highlights, kind of the shape I want, and all that good stuff happening. Good. It looks, I want it to be kind of subtle. It's not really a painting about clouds, but I do want it to kind of have the right feel that these big poofy desert clouds have. Alright, that's good. That'll be good for now. So now let's paint some mountains. So for mountains, I'm going to use this angle knife. So as I'm choosing the mountains, I'm gonna start kind of in the same way that I did with the clouds, where I'm gonna go into a darker color first. And that's because I'm just looking at the edges of these clouds or these mountains, and I'm seeing that they're more they're darker further back. And I'll end up putting some lighter colors in and some darker colors in, but I'll just start with that. So for that color, I'll do cobalt and a little Savers blue. This is gonna be a bolder blue than the previous blues, but not too bold either. So this looks about right. Maybe like just a touch lighter. Okay. And some of these mountains are actually going up into the clouds, and some of them aren't. So I'm gonna just kind of just touch an edge in here. I like to do that just to get a layout in place. Turn that out. And I'm kind of just thinking about painting in the shadowed edges of these mountains to start. I love working from real mountains, though. I think it's trickier in some ways, but it's also somehow a little bit more satisfying when you capture it. Anyway, see, so I just put in this edge. See all these little ridges doing different things. I like how this peak is kind of coming up in front of the clouds, and some of the others are going up into the clouds. Just gives a sense of these being a little closer. Okay. Some basic shapes, pretty good though. Alright, yeah, these are kind of set in there. I might even blend some of these edges and get them a little softer. Have them speak to the clouds a little bit more. Into this. I know I'll be able to cover up when I kind of come back in and do the light, so I'm gonna go a little extra with the shadows for right now. Not even touch a phthalo. Some of these are really strong. I'm going to create this more jagged three-dimensional texture here. All of those original sort of horizontal brush marks that I had. Kind of want to make sure they're all adjusted and more mountain shaped. That'll let me, when I come back in and put the highlights in, they'll grab sort of the high spots in the paint. It gives a nice effect. It's actually, other than taking a little bit of patience, isn't very difficult. Okay, let's see. It's got a good look. I'm gonna mix up another. This is kind of an in-between, sort of a gray. Actually, make a couple colors. I want to do a blue that's like this, but a little darker and a little bit more. A little bit more ultramarine, maybe even a little more than that. And that's going to be sort of a mid-ground shadow. And then I need kind of a grayer blue. That is the light. A little bird sienna in with that, just dull it back a little bit. I'm gonna go ahead and put that in here. Some of these hills kind of are like little foothills or something like that. Kind of pop through here. I'm gonna have some trees over here, so I'm not gonna worry too much about a lot of these details, but start putting in this ground here. And got these shadows that are really beautiful. Sort of streaking across. Let me brush those out a little bit. Do them in a couple of passes. They're very quiet. I decided to brush up this. Maybe this one's kind of small and good for us. Okay. Let's keep going across here. Get a couple of these blobs out of here. Okay. Just gonna adjust some of these foothills. Start just making a slightly softer, jagged texture down here. And the hills get a little bit rounder. All these nice colors kind of just start showing themselves when you hit this with a brush after you put down a bunch of nice paint. I always find that pretty satisfying. for areas where the contrast isn't quite as high, just simplifying them. It's good to have some spots for your eye to rest too. These blobs out of here. I'll lay down a little bit more of this shadow color now. Make me actually mix up a little bit more. Lately I've been just finding though that like painting with knives, it's good to switch back and forth to the brush and just smooth some things out. Just gonna come back and forth. Let's do a darker one here. Maybe this one's a little sharp. We'll try the round knife. I think that this works a little bit. This one's nice because it's a little bit, it's almost like a really shallow spoon. So the edges don't catch, so it doesn't scrape the paint away quite as easily. You can obviously use anything you like. Sometimes it's just about getting a feel for it. Yeah, that purple shadowing is really, really good. It's sort of drawing your eye in nicely. Okay, I'm kind of mess up this edge here. So I'm going to start working in my foreground plants. And actually just kind of using this as a way to even find that right shape for this. I'm adjusting this image a little bit from a landscape to, or like a panorama type shot to a kind of more standard painting dimension, I guess. I should get some canvases that are different dimensions, but right now these I do this size because I have boxes that fit them. So I try not to have too many different sizes. It just gets complicated to ship. So let's see. I do want to ship them carefully. So all right. Let's see. I like that. I'm going to make a dark color that's going to be, we'll go a little bit of burnt umber, a little bit of alizarin, get those globs out of there, and a little bit of viridian. And it's going to be a really dark, kind of background color, I guess, I don't know. I'm gonna put some lighter colors in over these trees, but I want to start kind of sketching in the darks up here. So just kind of start finding my way around, creating some different shapes. Maybe some burnt sienna. And a little yellow ochre even. See, some of these sandy areas kind of starting to connect in here. Keep this area really rough and textural. Okay. White to this mix. Maybe a little of this cad yellow. Let's try and warm it up just a little. Some of these areas. Just being real fun and messy with it. Here it gets even lighter. Add some cadmium light. Start putting that in here. I like how the blue is kind of in here though. It's like peeking out. I'll probably end up covering up almost all of it, but it just adds like a little bit of a, like that would be reflecting from the sky, which does kind of gets into everything, which is always, I don't know. Be surprised where your sky color shows up. Okay. Same. I don't want to mix in too much of this yellow and end up with a green look though, so it's going to be a little careful about that. A little warmer. Maybe even, let's throw in a little cad red light. That's pretty nice. Okay. Try and get some of these plants to be a little bit more refined in their shapes. Get a little burnt umber, a little bit of linseed oil just to make it flow a little better. Maybe just a little ultramarine too, a little darker, a little bluer. Just start creating some of these other plant shapes here. Some of this is just texturing really so that I can come back in and put in even more. It's like a little bit of a sculptural trick. All the high spots will catch the paint later, so you can use it to make shadows and highlights. It also makes the painting look really cool, which I always think is important. Something nice about, I really like having paintings that they look good on screen, and that's nice because since for most people are going to see them, but I like there to be like a little bit something, a little something special for when you get to see it in person. So I think texture can be one of those things that just makes it something that you have to experience. Sketchy drawing lines. Good little like puffs, puffy plants. I like them. I'm gonna show up even better once I have a little bit more contrast in, but cool. I think that's a pretty nice layout. Let's see. I think I do too. I'm gonna fade these a little, just a little bit to the sky. Just this one set. And that one's still pretty sharp. Yeah, I think that works. It's just subtle, but just kind of gives you that sense of it fading into the clouds. Do the same thing here. Just bring in just a little bit more here. Sometimes I think of like kind of like the day one painting as like the way to get like all these like the more subtle things happening that then give you the structure for what happens on day two. Usually most of my paintings are on this size, are like 2-day paintings, but it depends. Sometimes they're more complicated, they end up being longer, but and sometimes that's one day and the next day, sometimes it's one day and a few days later. It all works out for the most part. Okay. Let's see. All right, well, just texturing a little bit down here too. All right. And I think also these brush marks are really nice to catch texture later too. Cool. All right. Well, I'll be back in a few. All right. And I'm back. It's been a couple days since I worked on this, and it's pretty well set up, which is nice. So even the thick areas are pretty strong. Yeah, I'm just gonna kind of get back into it and keep refining it a bit. My allergies are a little better today, so that's nice. hopefully it stays like that. Yeah. So I'm gonna work on the foreground a little bit. I kind of wanted to get into it a little bit more last time, and I didn't get quite as far with that as I'd hoped to. So I think I'll start there, and then probably pop around a little bit and get back into the mountains. Actually, I'm gonna change that. I'm gonna actually do the mountains and the clouds just a little bit more, because I think it won't take that much more to get them pretty close to done. Yeah, just brighten them up a little bit. All right. I'm trying not to get too much white all over my palette to start, though. So got that. And I'm gonna add just a little linseed oil to this, just because the white is very thick otherwise. And I want this to kind of go onto these clouds a little bit more gently. Just gonna put a little bit on some of these, just the lightest areas. I don't want to do this throughout all of them. Just a bit like that. And then take this brush and just lightly work that in just a little bit more. I'm leaving some of these edges sharp, just softening it where it really needs to be soft. I kind of want to keep a lot of it pretty bright. This one can stay more or less like that. Quickly dabbing it. Over here, but not too much. Okay. Yeah, I think that'll do pretty well for the clouds. The mountains, might make up a couple of colors for that. Just slightly blue or white. Use a little cobalt. It's a good kind of medium blue. It's not too bright. Have a little bit of that on my knife and have a little bit of white, and kind of bring this in here. That way it's not all one color. Just grabbing sort of brightest peaks. Can actually see what happens. Just a little bit. It's a little shiny right now just because it's wet, but I think I got it. Alright. Try using this smaller edge here. Just gonna make this part a little bit more jagged. I'm putting in this blue just on kind of like a wet layer to like work the white onto, just to give it a little bit more variation. That's working pretty well. If I want the white to be sharper, I can go just right onto the drier paint directly. It's nice to get this slightly two ridges here that kind of one goes in front of the other. Mixing a little bit more blue as I go kind of up toward this area where the clouds are kind of covering this. It's a little less sharp, so I'm giving it a little bit less contrast. I still want it to sort of light up a little bit. And then as I come a little bit more forward, I can start bringing in more of the white again. We've got another set. There's all these
all these layers. It's really cool.
All right.
It's kind of a nice thing about working on these in a couple of sessions is you can build up a little bit more. Trying to do everything at once tends to get a little bit messier. I've got another kind of ridge coming through here. Ooh. Some deeper shadows might work into again here. I'll stick to one thing at a time. Just doing the whites for now. Peak is actually a little bit obscured in the clouds too. Let it just brush it out just a little bit too. Same idea over here. Do this too much, but in a few areas I just want to let this vary a little bit more too. Build it up a couple times to see. Yeah. That's pretty good. bit of just ultramarine. Let's say be a little too strong. Put a little bit of cypress blue in here just to lighten it. So work in this little shaded area just a little bit more. Yeah, that's good. So many little shapes in here. Little ripples here. That's good. I feel like I really like kind of laying down that first layer all wet into wet, and then I feel like doing the second day or second session. It doesn't always have to be a second day. Sometimes it can be later on the same day or a couple days later. Just really starts to make all the colors really stand out. Kind of get the best of both worlds. That's what I'm trying to do, usually. It's just a great shadow color. Anyway, it's just nice. I like how it kind of starts to show this texture of the ground. A little bit more dark blue up here. So your contrast will get a little stronger the closer you get. I'm gonna rough this up a little bit here. I think this could be a little bit kind of a light version of this here. Just brought in just a little bit more. Yeah, just a little bit more purple, I think. Sort of in between, sort of foothill. Just catching the light a little bit differently. Yeah, that's working. Okay. Switch to my rounder knife, I think. Just make it a little bit like sort of wavier, but not quite as sharp. And bring that in a little bit. Probably come down with my plants and cover up some of that, but that's okay. I think that works. All right. So move this over to the side. Might be a handy color. Possibly for some shadowy areas. Gonna make a little room too. So I'll start working into, probably actually go right into the plants that are furthest back here. Mix up a few colors for that. I want kind of like a warm red brown. And then maybe like even like a light green. And it's kind of like a light green gray. Yeah. So I'll start, make that over here. A little alizarin, a little burnt sienna, a little viridian, just to make it dark. That's a pretty good one, I think. That. And then I want to do like a light green too. A little white, a little viridian. Let's see where that. Maybe make it a little more yellow. But kind of a warm yellow. So we'll do cadmium yellow. And pop just a little bit in there. That's probably about the right color, but maybe a little bit. Maybe a little bit dark. So I'm gonna add a little more white to it. And yeah, just a really cool gray green. I think that might be a good one for a lot of areas in this foreground. Alright, so let's make it in between. It's pretty nice. And maybe do a couple variations of that. And now I can leave a lot of this white stuff kind of poking through. And different sort of layers of plants here. pretty good. Got a really dark, kind of shadowy area. Maybe actually, I've got some of that. Like once you start get into the desert scene, you start noticing there's so many different colors and everything. At first it looks kind of subdued. But eventually you start finding everything. Okay. Just like that, you can make a little branch. Make another branch. Pretty good. And then make a little more. Let's do a little kind of orangey tone. Start weaving that in here too. Okay. And do some darker tones around that. A little bit more alizarin meridian. And adding a little bit of linseed oil to keep this paint kind of flowing and not make it too stiff. Just kind of I don't want it to get really thick. I want to I'm leaving a lot of this texture showing through because I've got sort of all these little plants and sticks and things like that in the foreground, but it's easier to just kind of scratch them out with a knife and then come back the next day and just let all of that do your drawing for you. I guess I kind of did draw it, I just didn't draw it in paint until today. Okay, so it's got a good feel to it, I think. And there's another dark area here. Keep making more of that, I guess. I use a lot of alizarin meridian. I don't know if I use it too much, but it's nice because you can push it, you know, a little greener, a little redder. I might actually go a little greener this time. And this doesn't look, it's not like the same as putting in like black or something where it really just kind of all looks identical. And so this will shift as I mixed other colors in too. I just kind of wanted to get these shadows in. So I could layer a little bit more on top of them. Okay. That feels pretty good to me. More there. Go a little lighter. This is kind of a mixed gray brown area. Not worrying too much about drawing any sort of individual plants, just kind of creating the shape of things as I see them. Maybe another. It's a little bright, but I think I'm gonna go over it with some of this now. Just let it kind of be a sort of edge color. Bring in, I don't want to go too green with this. I'm going to go a little bit bluer with this tree, just because the green feels a little unnecessary, but I may build it up in kind of a few layers to sort of a more green. Just start kind of working this shape in here. Really harsh light and shadows. Probably not gonna blend much up here in this foreground area. Alright, then I wanna go, let's say, go really yellowy. And just a little of that. And a little of this. Try that. It's kind of a highlight, but it's not very light. It's just kind of a warm side. Maybe go just a touch more green. I really don't want to overdo it with the green on this. Maybe like just a little, yeah, that kind of. Maybe that's the right amount. Going back into blue for a little bit over here. Trying to get this edge shape too. It's just pretty good. Okay. I'm gonna try and bring in some sort of stem shapes. don't want to do too much of this. Some of this grass here. I got a lot from the knife work, so this probably doesn't have to be a lot. It's kind of a nice, some of these little blends just give it a little extra dimension. I think it just has that spiny look of a lot of these sticks that don't have any leaves. I'm not gonna do this for too long, I swear. Alright, so I don't want it to get too blended. I do want it to feel like everything's kind of meshing together. And there's really a jumble of different things going on here. All right. Actually, that's a really nice way to make these different grasses start just popping out of these different layers. Okay, put some more paint on, I think, and do the same thing again a couple times. Actually feeling like maybe I do want to quiet some of this down a little bit. I'm gonna just make a little mud in here. Just kind of, it felt just a little bit too grabby to my eye. I don't know how else to describe it. Just sometimes it's just like too much going on. And I feel like this blended out a little bit. And I'll probably put some other things into it. Just kind of take out some of this contrast. It's a little jumpy. Okay. And here, I think, kind of the same idea. It's a good view, and it has lots of great stuff to look at, but sometimes you gotta kind of choose. This is really about these plants kind of framing the mountain, or if it's about looking at them in more detail, which I think it's kind of not for this, but kind of layer it out a little bit. It's a little bit more mellow, I think. And I'm gonna bring a little bit more white, kind of like a yellow white even. Maybe a little, maybe it's this green that I had made before. I'm just gonna start just bring in some of these shapes. Just let them kind of fade in those. Now I'm applying this light into the wet paint, so it's kind of a chance to let it become a little bit more subtle. I think that it kind of works. I'll do a little more in here. Different colors that I want to make this grass. Okay. Got a good look to it. Bring in some of these different planes. It's actually pretty close. More of these kind of light sticks coming out here. Yeah, it's really all about working these different layers in, I think. I really like mixing colors. It's just so fun. I think that's, yeah, okay. Yeah, it just like popped in. Now it looks like the right thing. A little shadow in here. Pretty thick too, I like it. Some good texture. Here, I'm just trying to get these. It's like some really thin lines here where you can tell the distance is really shifting. Try and bring in maybe some more white. This will be a little thicker. Yeah, okay. All right. There we go. Pretty happy with that. Just gonna flick up a little bit more of this grass here. Try and do a little further back, kind of not going as high than I want it to go. A little bit more, a little closer. And I'm specifically grabbing the light areas and dragging those up over the dark areas for this. Try and put a little bit of a curve to them too, so they're not all going the same way, not all going up straight. Like this. Maybe getting a little muddy. Just go back in with a knife and put a couple more light spots in. Cool. Doing these little, kind of want to get the feeling of these like really small leaves on this. Or maybe a little bit more. A little bit more graphic than the rest of it. I don't know, somehow. Just picking up the knife and tapping it like this, you get like all these small shapes starting to come up, which I think are exactly what we're going for here. It looks nice, and then I think on this one I want to do slightly more of like a needly texture, so I'm just grabbing just with the edge of the knife. Try to make that one look a little bit. Use another knife for this. Like maybe this one would be good actually. I'm just gonna try to use the edge of it though. I don't want to use the whole thing. Yeah, that's good. Just gonna create these little tufty things. These little needle shapes. Yeah, there we go. It's pretty nice. I think I'm going to let it sit one more time, and then I'm going to come back and do just a little bit more with the mountains, but I'm pretty happy with all of it, so yeah. Alright, well, I'll be back in a few. Alright, and I'm back. I'm not going to do a whole lot more to this. I want to just do just a little bit with the mountains. And really that might be it. I'm pretty happy with the plants in the foreground. Though, you know, once I get going, you never know. I might decide to make a couple adjustments there too. But mainly I just want to kind of refine the ridge lines a little bit and maybe put one more blue tone in. Noticing some of these light areas just felt a little too white to me. So now that I'm looking at them, I feel like maybe they're not. Yeah, I think one more lighter blue would be good. Go ahead and mix that up. I'm gonna aim for something a little bit similar to my sky color, I think, for this. A little cobalt, little Sevres blue, bunch of white. Some linseed oil just to make it flow a little bit more easily. Yeah, I'm thinking this area where I've got the white, I'm pretty happy with that. I think a little bit in here it could tone down just a little bit though. So I'm gonna I'll make a whiter version of this too. Maybe dial it back a little more slowly. In person it actually doesn't look quite as bright as it does on the screen, but it still looked a little overdone. But fortunately there's actually just so much in these that you really benefit from a lot of different colors in them, just because they're really rough. I'll leave a bit of that whitest white, and also take it down just a little bit too. That works pretty well. Let's see. Do a little more up here. Maybe we'll go a little darker. Create a little bit more form. Do the same thing down here too. A little bit here. I want this to look like kind of neat, as in like well crafted, but also want to have it rough like the mountains are. So it's a little bit, I don't know, there's something a little bit tricky with that. I think it's coming. I Just kind of coming through, putting enough care into them, I think. Take just a tiny bit of some warmer ultramarine type blue. Just get that in where it goes. Yeah, I think that's a bit better. Go a little lighter here. Not quite as light as the white. There we go. A little bit kind of thing here. Pretty good. Okay. Yeah, okay. It's feeling about right. Might be just about there. I love like the effect that you get from using different blues. I like this area right here. Just needs like something. It's like maybe another darker shadow brought into it. Maybe these little vertical sort of ridges here, speckled in. Yeah, that's sort of just give it a pretty good. Tempted to do something with this line here. It is actually straight like this, but I'm also kind of feeling like I want it to be a little different. I'm gonna leave it more or less like it is. I'm gonna put a little bit of a transition color in though. Go a little bit blue and a little bit with this unbleached titanium. Just put just gonna let it fade off a little differently. I think it's just that the contrast was really high there, so it's kind of just feels a little strange. Just maybe even brush it just a little bit. Maybe a little bit of raw umber and a tiny bit of viridian, tiny bit of alizarin. Make a slightly lighter one. Kind of going into this with my knife wet and just letting it be a little bit more organic. It's pretty good. Okay. And bring a little of this light blue through here. Let it reflect on some of these little plants. Yeah, think it just helps lead your eye just a little differently. Cool. Well, I think I'm going to leave this one here. Yeah, I hope you've enjoyed it, and I hope you have a wonderful day or night, or whatever you're off to next.